All right, there we go. Well, thank you so much, everyone that has input their information in the chat. I'm going to save these. I didn't have a chance to look at every single one of them, so I'm going to go back after this and look at everybody. And please do keep in touch with me. I'm thrilled that you're here, and I would love to continue working with you for food waste and other sustainability things. So really quick overview, I work as in the School of Sustainability, which is part of Global Futures College, or the College of Global Futures at Arizona State University. This is a recently established college that includes the School for the Future of Innovation in Society, and the School of Sustainability, and the School for Complex Adaptive Systems, which is a new school. So this is kind of some of the stuff that we do here. We're talking about designing high quality life cities, affordable energy, clean water, stuff about the food supply, social transformation, equity, things like that. And then this is kind of more of an in detail. And like I said, I will share all of these slides with you. So if you're interested in any of these things, or you think your students might be interested in this, please let me know. We do have a student services team that works more closely with schools and students that are interested in some of these programs in the College of Global Futures. The School of Sustainability is the one that I am a part of. It's also where I got my master's degree, which is very cool. But these other two are very interesting as well. So the Teachers Academy, as you may know, we're all about bringing sustainability to life in schools and communities. So our impact so far has been, we've worked with, we've done 50 some odd professional workshops for 2,300 teachers. And we've collaborated with over 50 partners across the US, including World Wildlife Fund, which is some of the materials that I'll be presenting with today. And we've also raised around $3.77 million in funding over the past 6 years for these efforts. So this is our vision to promote sustainability education and its practical applications in K-12 schools and their communities. We engage teachers, administrators, students, parents, and others to transform schools into places where sustainability is lived and learned. And it's our goal to bring the next generation of sustainability practitioners. One of the new things that we're launching is called Sustainability Learning Labs. And so this is a collection of formal and informal educators and local sustainability leaders, et cetera, who collaborate on more relevant and specific sustainability professional development. This workshop actually was one of the reasons that we started talking about sustainability learning labs, because we work so closely with Florida and some of the teachers and other people that are doing food waste initiatives in Florida. So if you're interested in creating a collaborative or establishing a sustainability learning lab, please follow up with me after this, because I would love to talk to you more about that. Some teachers got kicked out. I can let them back in. Let's see. I will admit them all. Thank you. Okay. So these are some of our guiding principles to the Sustainability Teachers Academy. We're interested in transformative education, trying to disrupt the status quo, authentic collaboration, critical reflection. We're also interested in place-based education, and also this says ongoing and iterative, but basically I'm really interested in process-based things where we highlight more of the process, more of the relationship building. And yes, outcomes are good, but the focus is more on like, how do we create this world today that we want? So I'm into that. And the critical reflection piece is going to come up at the end when we start talking about stipends. Okay, so here are some of my hopes for you for this workshop. We're hoping that you'll engage with this community of learners. There's currently 94 participants. I think it's 93 because I'm technically a participant. And so there'll be some chances. I have two small group discussions planned for us today that I think will be helpful for y'all to engage with some folks across the nation. We're looking for a better understanding of how we can support you as well, and an introduction to some of the resources that we've put together. And we're hoping for an integration of sustainability practices in your schools and communities. And, fingers crossed, teacher empowerment. I don't get to say if that happens or not, y'all do. So for the norms of collaboration, go ahead and use the chat to communicate with all participants. I'm currently in grad school again, and during my online classes, like the chat is bananas because we're all just like making inside jokes and referring to the materials. Like I'm 100% okay with you engaging that way. So please feel free to use the chat in any way you see fit. I'm into it. Also, practice good communication etiquette using Zoom. So I will answer your questions if you have a question. So either put that in the chat and Melba's going to help me kind of look at that, or you can go ahead and raise your hand and I will answer your questions that way. And also, like, please practice active listening and share your voice too. And that's especially relevant in some of our small group discussions where you will be facilitatorless. You will be your own facilitators for the small groups. So first, excuse me, I have COVID. So first, I would like to talk a little bit about the food, water, energy nexus. So what is this? Oh, I just got a chat about audio issues. So the food, water, energy nexus. So what in the process requires water and energy? Are y'all familiar with the food, water, energy nexus? Can you give me just a different reaction, like a thumbs up if you are familiar with the food, water, energy nexus? Anybody know about this already? I don't see very many thumbs up. I see you. Hey, Marianne. Hey, I see you there. Very cool. Okay. Some thumbs down. All right. I see y'all. Some thumbs up, some thumbs down. Okay, good. Well, this is exciting because I do see more thumbs down or nothing rather than just the thumbs up. So I'm glad I can tell you something new and interesting. So go ahead and think to yourself about what in our food system requires water and energy, and what happens to the water after each phase. The other big question here is, like, can you find measurements for each of these things? So think, for example, of a food product. So let's say a chicken nugget. Some of y'all remember the life cycle of a chicken nugget from our Teachers Academy work. Yeah. So what in that process requires water and energy? I'm going to give you about a minute to think about it. Yeah, sure. So what you're thinking about is think about a life cycle of a food product. A banana is probably less of a good example, or like a highly processed, like a chicken nugget or a can of Chef Boyardee, something like that. And think about where are the intersections, like where would you see energy used? Where would you see water used in this cycle? So just think about the life cycle of a food product and then look at the screen and see where would you see food, water, like energy and water in this process. No worries, it's all good. Thanks for asking. Yeah, there is a lot that's required at each step. Transportation at the processing phase for sure. Yep. Oh yeah, water is definitely needed for plant or animal to grow. Cleaning process, absolutely. And then another good question to consider is what happens to the water after each phase? So is it being reused? Is it considered like a lot of wastewater? What's happening here? Yeah, Tara, you're completely correct. It is nearly inextricable. You know what? You know what word I'm trying to say. It's in the chat. Between water and energy. Yeah, and that's why we call it the food, water, energy nexus. So this is kind of an example here. So here are some of our US freshwater withdrawals. This is a really old thing, it's from 2010, but you get the sense that like, so 32% of our freshwater withdrawals are used for irrigation. And remember that most of our crops are actually used to feed livestock. So for example, a lot of the corn that's grown is used to feed livestock. So it's not just a direct benefit to us. It's not just direct food for us. So that's a really interesting piece to remember as far as like our US freshwater supply. Also here, if you're taking a look at this, this is a chart that shows the energy consumed versus the energy available. So this is one of the most surprising things to me is if you look at this chart and you're seeing, these are measured in BTUs, which is like a way for us to kind of figure out how each of these energy components can compare to each other. So this is basically like food energy in the form of calories, right? So if you look here, like agricultural production, sure, not too much, but then it comes to processing. Somebody mentioned that in the chat, which was great. You know, packaging, wholesale, food service. And this part right here was the most surprising to me. Household storage and preparation uses a lot of energy. And so we're talking about your refrigerator, your freezer, you know, using your stove to cook, stuff like that. So a lot of stuff going on right there. And water can be recycled, that's true, but that is not always the case. Yes, it can be recycled, but the degree to which it can be cleaned varies based on the process used to do that. Yeah. So now I'm going to break you up into just like small group discussions. And this is what you're going to do. You're going to look at these questions. And if you go to the agenda, which I will go ahead and put back in the chat, I'm going to stop sharing real quick. So if you'll go back to the agenda, hopefully you have it pulled up somewhere, but I have the discussion questions available for you in another document, so you can use those to self-facilitate in your small groups. And I'm going to go ahead and set up these small group discussions. Remember, I'm not monitoring them, so you get into it what you get out of it what you put into it. So there's what, 90 of us? That's so many people. Let's see. So we'll put it into, let's do 18 breakout rooms. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open all the rooms, and I believe you have to join them yourself. So if you'll go to, there should be the ... more. If you can click on more and then go to the breakout rooms, and then you can go ahead and join the breakout rooms yourself.
It's also popping on the screen, Molly.
Oh, good, good. Thank you, Melpa. We're going to go ahead and start the recording again, and we'll get back to some of our things. I do have a little break for us planned. It's only been like, it hasn't been that long, but I think our guest speaker hasn't come. And so I think that this is going to be only a 2-hour session instead of a 3-hour session. So we'll go ahead and let you enjoy some more of your Saturday. But we're going to take a quick break. And let me, before we do, hold on. I have something that I'd like for you to do during your break. So what we're going to do is during the break, go ahead and do a quick refrigerator audit. So look through your refrigerator and identify the following. Foods that are definitely bad and need to be thrown away. This is a judgment-free zone, by the way. Like my refrigerator now, I took all of the shelves out so that I could store a pony keg that I had for my birthday a week ago. So my refrigerator is a disaster and has no shelving and has a very tiny keg in it. So foods that are definitely bad and need to be thrown away. 2 foods that are approaching their expiration date, and 3 foods that are likely to be thrown out based on your eating habits. So being honest and reflective with yourself, do a quick refrigerator audit during your break, get up, stretch your legs, take a look, maybe grab a snack. And then let's meet back here in, let's say, 10 minutes. So 5 minutes to 10. So good, healthy break.
Hey, Molly, could I get the sign-in sheet, please? I haven't signed in.
Yes. Thank you
Thank you.
No, thank you. I need to hold on just a second and I will get it. But everybody else take note. Let's all get on the sign-in sheet as well. So I'll stop my screen share for a moment and get that taken care of. Thank you so much for reminding me. I'm going to go ahead and post this in the chat again. And I know that it's a bit of, you know, it's a little problematic to try and work on it all together. But, you know, if you have a lot of spaces in between different names, I can take those out later. Just make sure that you're signed in. Someone needs to go to the grocery shop, go grocery shopping. That's, I mean, that's good. It's better than, you know, when I moved recently and I had to throw out a lot of these old foods that I like forgot were in there. It was kind of tragic, but yeah, so go ahead and sign in using the sign-in sheet and we'll take a break and I'll see y'all in about 9 minutes. I forgot to resume the recording, but thank you so much for sharing that. Yes, great engagement for math teachers because you can do a lot with like pie charts to show how students or the school is recycling, what percentage of recycling materials are going into the trash, what percent is actually food waste. In this guide, there's also, and I've seen Rob use a scale a lot, and you'll see this a lot with environmental education initiatives as well. So you'll take the food and then you'll just weigh each of these things. So then you can use that for your math class, and this is how much weight the food is, this is how much weight the recycling is, to kind of get a handle on how much this stuff is impacting. And the idea here is to conduct a food waste audit, and then you can figure out intervention points for how to reduce food waste, and then do another audit at the end of the semester, for example, to see if your intervention has changed things. And I love this because then you're talking with students a lot about data literacy. So working with data to like create better intervention methods. Renuka, did you have something else you wanted to add?
No, I just saw my hand was still up, so I
okay.
lowered it.
Okay, great. Does anybody here have any experience with food waste audits that they'd like to share with everyone else? You can use your raise hand function. Samantha.
Hi, I'm Sam. I teach 7th grade life science and high school ecology. And I guess it was about 4 weeks ago, we did a food waste audit. We are like a 700 to 800 person school. I think it's about 800. We all have lunch at the same time. And because of the pandemic, we decided rather than sorting, like retroactively sorting the food waste, we would actually collect it in separate bins. So during lunch, we had like our whole green club go around with bins that said paper recyclables, plastic recyclables. Actually, no, I think we just did paper and food, compostable food. Because we're trying to collect data to get funding for a composting service at our school. We're in a pretty urban area, so it would be hard for us to do our own composting because of rats and city creatures. But we figured that a food waste audit was a start, and we found that it was something like 600 pounds when you totaled it up. We're wasting about 600 pounds a month of compostable food. So.
Wow, that is significant. I mean, those kind of data points, and I love that it's so specific to your school too. I mean, that's a great example. Thank you so much for sharing. I have a question, Samantha. How difficult was it to get stakeholders to agree to do a food waste audit? Because it's kind of messy, right?
It's messy. Yeah, it took, luckily I teach a lot of these students and I was like, we're doing this at lunch, you'll be there. So we probably had about 8 kids helping us.
Nice.
But then everyone was seeking us out. Everyone wanted to get the data from the school. So like kids were like, find the person going around with these bins. And there was some buy-in. Yeah.
That's great. Well, and I think that's a great example of how just like you can start with a small number. That's a really big thing in sustainability. I think, especially me, I'm very like, let's get it all together and do all the things. But a lot of times that doesn't work out the way we plan. And so starting with small numbers is really great. Gabrielle?
Hi, my name is actually Nicole. That's my son's name, but it's okay. I was wondering if we're gonna get a copy of that. Like, are you gonna email that to us, that document about conducting a food waste audit?
Yes, it's actually available for you right now. If you go to the agenda, it is linked under the resources tab for conducting a food waste audit.
Oh, okay. And we'll have access to the agenda even when the Zoom is finished? Yep.
Yeah, you have access. Yeah, you'll have access to the agenda forever. And you'll have access to this. And on the agenda, I'll also put the slides at the end of this workshop to get you, make sure that you have all that stuff. But yeah, you have access to it right now.
I opened it and emailed it to myself if you want to do that and keep it as a trace, not Gabrielle, but I forgot
Nicole.
your other name, Nicole. I just chose the option of sharing and emailed it to myself.
Yeah, and I think at the end, I don't want to ask you right now because I don't want to overwhelm the chat too much, but at the end, I will ask if y'all have any other resources so that you can share with each other, because I think y'all are such a wealth of information, and I know some of you have already done some work around this, that it'd be really helpful to see kind of what you've done. Great. So yes, this is the main guide to conducting a food waste audit. It can be very simple or it can be extremely complex. It just depends on how you'd like to do it with your own school. So in order to kind of prepare for that, I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about food waste in the cafeteria. I'm actually not going to talk to you about it. You're going to talk to each other about it because it's a workshop. We're going to be using Jamboard. Hopefully y'all have used some Jamboards in the past, especially since, you know, most of y'all, probably all of y'all, were virtual during the pandemic. So this is basically where I have a Jamboard set up, and it's in the agenda under the resources for this section. Like I said, we've kind of skipped out a little bit, so we're moving a little bit faster, which is great. So you'll look at the Jamboard, just follow the prompts. I'm going to put you back into breakout rooms, advance through the frames, and then you can add stickies, text, shapes, photos, anything that you see fit to help kind of make your Jamboard a little bit better. So before we get started on this, I want to ask y'all, thinking a little bit about cafeterias and food waste, one of the things that's the most surprising to me about cafeterias is how they're not really, are they designed with learning in mind, right? So we're all working in schools and in classrooms and in all of these different areas of the schools. It's very intentional learning that happens in these areas. And so my big question here is, are cafeterias designed with learning in mind? I mean, they're part of a school, right? And whether or not they are designed with learning in mind, learning occurs in these spaces. So is it the kind of learning that we want to happen around food waste, responsibility, health, well-being? What's kind of going on there? So yeah, let's think a little, and you can either put in the chat or raise your hand or just go ahead and start talking. Are cafeterias designed with learning in mind? I'm going to say no. I'm with Crystal on this one. And then what habits or practices do students develop related to food based on the cafeteria? And then just real quickly for you, Kimberly, we're going to pause really quickly on the Jamboards. I'll get to that in a minute. And yeah, you'll make a copy when you get there. But first of all, I don't think anyone is going to say yes to are they designed with learning in mind. Yeah, that's very true. A lot of cafeterias are designed for effective, efficient food service. It's get in, get out, right? Crystal, yes, what do you have for us?
So I think maybe if we think about when you ask the question, are they designed with learning in mind? As far as food, no, it's not. But like social aspects and some different things like that, maybe yes, they're designed with learning in mind, because they have to understand how to sit in the cafeteria and like certain behaviors that are appropriate and inappropriate. But as far as food, and I'm speaking as an experience when I've walked into the cafeteria, the kids, a lot of them don't even throw their own trash away. So they don't understand, or they feel like somebody else should pick up after them and throw their food away, or they get the food and we've had 2 food fights in the cafeteria, in our cafeteria. So I think no, as far as that's concerned, but in some aspects of social, how to behave in social aspects, I think maybe they are designed because they're sitting at tables with other people, and you have to understand how to interact with people when you sit at a table.
That's a really good point. I think there's a lot going on in cafeterias. We did a youth participatory action research with some students here in Phoenix. And one of the interesting things that they said about cafeterias related to this was that there was like this general sense of loneliness in the cafeteria, even though people were all together. And I just thought that was really fascinating hearing that from, and they were like 7th and 8th grade students, just how lonely they felt in the cafeteria surrounded by people. Brunka, yes.
So many of my students now, especially after a pandemic, we have seen that a lot of them, they don't talk to each other as much. They have that shell around them that they are, with now. As much as they were communicating with each other earlier, they're very shelled now. They don't want to talk. And so many of them don't even want to eat in cafeteria. They always take passes from me to come back to the room and sit there. Instead of sitting there in the cafeteria. They don't want to take out the mask and eat in front of everybody, those kind of things. So It has changed a lot before and after pandemic also.
Yeah, very true. Arpi, is that how you say your name?
Yes, hi. I'm curious to see who teaches in a small private school, because I'm from San Francisco and I teach in a bilingual Armenian school, and we have a very small student population. We're about 150 people for K-8. And I can't really relate to any of the things that the other teachers are mentioning, because we've been composting for quite a while, and every student is responsible for putting their food in. And I'm not sure if it's cultural from the Armenian perspective, but we're taught at a young age not to waste any food, because a lot of families don't come from, wealthy backgrounds or whatnot. It's sort of a cultural thing. And we don't have ready-made processed food. We used to have before COVID, we used to have a small group of volunteer parents who would cook home-cooked food. And so kids had the option of choosing a line. It's like moms and grandmas, sometimes grandpas would come too, but they had fresh food cooked 4 times a week, and they would choose what they wanted to eat. So I have a really different experience. We don't have the big cafeteria. And then those kids who didn't eat their food, we have a lot of teachers who watch, even though it's a small group of kids. We always tell them, don't waste your food, eat your food, whatever's left over. And so we have very minimal waste, both from the cultural perspective and then the composting as well.
Yeah. I just wanted to know in the chat, people are saying like, this is amazing. Wow, fresh food. It's incredible. I mean, and I think that it's also inspiring to hear that that's happening somewhere. Someone said dream school.
Well, now I know it's special, so it's good to hear. It's good to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have AML iPhone. I don't know who that is, but you have your hand up. So what do you have to say?
My name is Elisa. And
Hi, Elisa.
I'm tired. I don't have my video on today.
That's okay.
But I just wanted to add that I also teach at a very small private school. But I think I just had this moment of shock because we have sort of the opposite. We don't have kitchen facilities, so our lunch is catered in. And the amount of waste that is produced because everything is packaged and catered in, it hurts my heart sometimes, because I see trash can upon trash can of just the plastic waste. And hearing her talk about having a group come in and cook, I just think about the impact of one day of having that as opposed to the system that my school is currently doing. It's disappointing, and yet I'm so happy for her school.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, even that what you said about even one day, what would that be like for one day? I have also seen there's an elementary school here in Phoenix that has like a test kitchen, a nutrition education kitchen. And so they make food with kids to demonstrate how it's made, and then they can taste the different foods. I'm with May here. I think that food and nutrition should be in the curriculum for public schools. I personally didn't learn about nutrition until much later in life. And it's even still, it's a lifetime journey to understand nutrition. I think I've kind of been looking at the chat, and everybody has some really great ideas and really kind of amazing things to say, amazing in really good ways, and then amazing in really kind of tragic ways. Because I think these places are not designed for learning in mind, and the kind of lessons that students are taking away does contribute to food waste. And when we look at it, like some of the themes that I've seen here in the chat, food waste is such a systemic issue, and it has so many overlaps with these other ideas of like, how do we connect with each other and the food and the staff and the place that we are. And so I think there's a lot of, if you look at food waste not as just like students are wasteful, but as part of this overall culture of kind of consumption and waste, and especially as a like almost a, we don't mean for it to happen, I can't think of the word right now, but an unintended consequence of the efficiency of the food system, because most schools only have 20 minutes or so to eat. Like that is a really interesting kind of juxtaposition there. So I'll have Gayla say something first, and then Latasha.
Oh, what I was gonna say is at our school, we have everybody has to get a plate. It doesn't matter if they eat it or not. And what we do is tell the kids that they don't want it. See if the other kids at the table want it, because it's required for us to get Title I funds. So they do have to get a plate and everything. So and get in and out in 20 minutes. That's their goal. That's the goal for the cafeteria. So it's terrible with all the styrofoam plates, and they put them. So I was excited to see about this program so they can, learn about, food waste.
Yeah, thanks, Gayla. And I do like those, the Title I schools, and especially like you do have to take a lot of those different elements. And so having a share table can be really great. I have heard teachers say that they're not able to have a share table because of different issues with the food health. Latasha, and then Mr. Christopher.
Hi, I think personally, if they would go back to actually cooking the food in the facilities for the students and giving them choices as far as different types of meals, because we do service different students. We are a diverse population. So I think they should have diversity in the food, and it can still be healthy, but diversify the food as well. And then I think the kids would be more apt to eating the food instead of wasting the food. Because, in our classes, they tell us you must differentiate among your students. Not everybody's going to learn the same. So you must take the time to incorporate those differentiated lessons to make sure that the students are still getting the overall arching of what you're trying to get them to understand. So you can take that and apply that to how they serve the food in the cafeteria by making sure that it is diverse. It's, they can cook the food, and then the students will be more apt to eating it. Now, I do think the cafeteria is a good way of allowing the kids to have or better their social skills. However, when there's nothing really to talk about, because, we can talk about food. We can talk about how good this food looks. I know my family's like, oh, mommy, this is good. I'm really enjoying this. What did you do this time to this spaghetti or blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I did the same thing. Maybe I just added a little bit. It's like, well, keep doing that. So it can become a conversation, And so if the food is more diverse, it's better prepared, I think. The kids will have better conversations in the cafeteria. It'll be less likely that we're having food fights. It'll be less food waste, and we can get in and out in 20 minutes because they will really be engaged, fully engaged in what they're doing, and that's eating a healthy meal.
I completely agree. I think that, and some of the other things that I've talked with, culturally relevant food is really an important topic when it comes to cafeterias. So I think, Latasha, like, you're nail on the head there. I mean, the offerings in cafeterias, especially like public schools, are not necessarily catered to the students that are there. And I think there's a lot of learning opportunities when you're looking at diversifying food to be more inclusive and culturally relevant for the students that it serves. So thank you. Mr. Christopher.
No, I just was a second that what Tasha said, and I forgot, I think RP who said was talking about the Armenian. That was really amazing for me, because I came, from like an island, a Haitian background, and culturally, I think it's like the kind of what somebody was mentioning before, like a lot of kids are not really passionate. They like this waste food, this throw away stuff, you had to clean up. I'm like, come on, and it's a kind of like a disconnect of like what's culturally acceptable and what's like, and what the teacher's saying, they're not really passionate about the food they have. Like, I love the idea of like having them more passionate to prepare and and actually enjoy the food they have, and I think that's like the biggest issue now. So I just wanted to kind of comment on that, 'cause I thought that was interesting to see the different perspectives from different environments that people have.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. And then there was a comment in the chat I just wanted to draw attention to. There is a movie about comparing US public school foods to other countries, which apparently is very interesting. So I think, Lisa, I think you had your hand up first, and then Pam, I did something to my screen. So we'll do it that way.
Hi, Molly. This is Lisa Jeff. How you doing? I'm glad you remember me.
Of course I remember you. Absolutely.
Okay. One of the things that we talked about in our breakout session was, I guess, the program for government funding, or for the free lunches and the free breakfast. It requires the kids to take so many, whether they want it or not, which is basically teaching our kids, because if all you want is an apple in the morning, you still have to take a protein and a grain. So the kids just grab and they throw it right in the garbage. And that is like teaching kids to waste food. I don't want it, but I have to take everything. Same thing at lunch. I have to grab everything, put everything on my tray, even if I don't want it. And I was kind of upset about that, because you're teaching the kids to waste. And one of the things that was mentioned, I think it was by Megan in our group, is that I guess it's not about the quality of the food, it's more the quantity. They can do it cheaper. So they're going to mass produce food that is not good. When I first started teaching, the food was cooked in the lunchroom. It was fresh, it was better. Now everything is brought in prepackaged. There's a whole bunch of packaging, was another thing we talked about, which waste, brings about more waste. But you're just much to get, well, you're trying to get it.
Oh no, she's frozen. Is she frozen for y'all too? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
she's frozen.
All right, I'm gonna have to come back to her. I'll message her really quickly over here. But yeah, everybody's bringing up some really great points. I think somebody messaged me individually and was like, hey, can we do this instead of small breakout rooms? And if everybody's okay with that, I'm okay with that too. I really like the conversational nature of this. So I'm sorry, I'm typing to her right now. Hi, Lisa, you're frozen. Oh, she just dropped off. Okay. So I'm happy to do that as well. I like a more informal workshop anyways. So we'll have Pam Flory and then Anju up next to share your thoughts. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks so much, Molly. So I wanted to share what we started changing. I'm from a fairly large, it's about 1,000 students, and it's an independent school. We have a huge composting program, and we make tons of compost. And so that's an issue, because what it's telling us, the question was, why are we making so much compost? And it's because we're having a lot of wasted food. And so we started changing, instead of calling it food waste, the food waste is the stuff that comes out of the cafeteria. That's the stuff that we're not necessarily going to eat, right? That's the scraps and the peels, and we're calling everything that we're collecting in our compost buckets in the cafeteria, we're calling that wasted food, because I think we can all agree those are two like very different, they have different meanings. You know,
Yeah.
food waste does not sound appealing to me. I would never eat food waste, but wasted food is telling me that I could have eaten that. And so that's one of the things that we're trying to get this message to the kids. And hearing everybody talk about all of the wasted food with the kids who have to take that food, I think one of the challenges, you know, why is all this food being wasted? And it's the students have zero agency in what they're eating. So to go back to some of the great things that people have said about, you know, all of the wonderful cultural foods that we could have, you know, could we be serving kids and be passing that along to our district and our food service companies, and holding people accountable? We're having all this food waste. How is the district, how is the food service, how are they being held accountable to contributing to all of this wasted food? Because we have to, you know, ask the question, why is it being wasted? So those were my comments. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Very well said. I'm going to wait till Anju is back online to talk. Lisa, welcome back. Did you have any final thoughts? Oh, hey, okay, Anju.
Yeah, I heard some great oops, I'm sorry, I stopped my video. Oh, okay, yes. I heard some great conversation, and to add to some people's points, what I wanted to say, and we talked about this with Lisa and in our group also, one of the things is kids are never asked what they would want to eat. I feel like, especially in my public school district, the kids are never, it's as simple as creating a survey and asking them, out of the choices that we're giving them, if we let them pick those, like, hey, you have a choice of this, this, and this, if the kids are given a choice, that I feel like that would reduce the food waste to a lot. We feel like the kids cannot make that choice. They're going to always want to eat unhealthy, but even out of the healthy choices, there might be something, like somebody said, kids like to eat rice and beans. Why don't we give them that more often? I mean, we don't want to give them every day, but why don't we give them that more often? I don't think, at least in my district, kids are ever asked, what would you like to eat?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that I've seen that too in the chat a little bit. That's a great point, Anju. Thank you so much for sharing. I think that this idea of student leadership could be really powerful in some of this food reducing food waste, some of those strategies. And so I think I have heard of other people in combination with like a survey, you know, what students, what do you want to eat? But in a combination also with like sharing different stuff, or like, hold on, let me back up. There was a school that we worked with that would do taste tests. And so they would prepare like these little teeny tiny pieces of different meals, not necessarily rice and beans, but like a cucumber salad, for example. And then they would have the students taste test them before serving them in the cafeteria. And I think something like that, if you can work with the cafeteria staff or create some kind of working group so that student voice is centered, there are taste tests, because especially with healthier foods, sometimes students don't always have access to the healthiest foods. And so unfamiliar foods will not be eaten because it's unfamiliar. You don't know what it tastes like. So I think, you know, these ideas are great. It is hard working with public school cafeterias for all of the reasons mentioned. The biggest one is most people wouldn't want to spend more money. And if you have a system that works, then why change it? But then I have a question of like, is it working? And if it could be better, why not try? So do we have any other comments on this? I have one other activity that I was going to do with y'all, but it's another breakout activity. And if you would prefer, we can stay in the main room and you can kind of take a look at it yourself. Any last comments on this discussion? Yes, Nicole.
So I guess it's more a question because I hear people talking about why doesn't the cafeteria staff do X, Y, and Z, but are they really the decision makers. And
Great
you know,
point.
I really think in terms of decision making, they're probably like the low people on the totem pole. I think they're being mandated by huge districts, right? They get food boxes delivered to them. So, you know, this is what you have to serve. I'm not sure that they can make those decisions. So I don't know like how you could work with your cafeteria necessarily.
That's a great point, Nicole. And I think because we had a food waste workshop. It was like I'm gonna call it a think tank, but we had somebody who was a cafeteria manager, and she doesn't have very much control at all. And there was like she told us the story of when they had mandated that students would be eating in the room for breakfast, and they literally told her about it, the cafeteria manager, like the day they had to start doing this. And so she was like, everyone was super stressed. They didn't know how it was going to work, and they just had to put something into place. So I think you make a really good point of who are the decision makers, and where does the power lie? You know, does the power lie somewhere in the district? Because the alternative to like hierarchical power structures is this idea of kind of coming together and having power of people. So if you're working with cafeteria staff and you're working with students and you can demonstrate that there's this push for change, something different, there's power with the numbers, just as much as there's power in the hierarchy. Yes, so Renunka and then Lisa.
The district that I'm teaching in, I've been teaching in there for 15 years, but before pandemic, they were given a choice. We used to have salad bars for our students to choose from, the salad or the fruits that they wanted or the condiments that they wanted. But during pandemic, during this time, it was restricted that they couldn't choose from like choices. They were given a well-prepared tray that they had to pick from. So this present circumstances has also limited the choices for our students. I totally agree that students should be asked for what they want to eat, but then the present circumstances are also restricting all these choices, you know?
Yeah, of course, absolutely. Lisa?
One question, sorry about earlier, my computer's been acting up, but I know the cafeteria manager told us that it's because of the government funding that the kids have to pick so many things. Is there any way that we can petition or speak with the government? Because you're teaching the kids to waste. In order for us to continue to get the free breakfast and the free lunch, we have to follow their guidelines. And their guidelines say that you have to have so many things on your tray, whether you eat it or not. And the lunchroom cannot change that. According to the manager, she has nothing to do with that. And if when their supervisor or monitor comes out, if the kids are not doing that, then we can get in trouble and we can lose our free program. So can we talk to somebody with the government funding or to let them know that you're teaching kids to waste?
I don't personally know who to talk to, but I love where you're going with this. I think, you know, just there's like 95 people on this call. And I have a feeling that all of us are pretty interested in making that happen, Lisa. So yes, I want to do it. Let's discuss. This will be a great project.
If we had the kids all write letters to whoever their congressman, alderman, and start something, you know, start on the bottom and maybe we can work our way up and let them know that you're teaching kids to waste and there's so much waste already in the world. Start a writing campaign, something.
I think that's great. And that brings us to like some of our, strategies for reducing food waste. A lot of times we see these food waste audits, composting, eat all your food, all this stuff. But I think this is an incredible, like, systemic solution, because we're really getting at the heart of it. Like, this isn't working. This isn't working. How do we change it? So I think that's brilliant. And also people in the chat love your idea too. So I think that's great. Excuse me. So this is what I was going to do for our next activity. I love the idea of writing letters to your state representatives because I think that's genius. I will say World Wildlife Fund does a lot with policy. So they are some people that you can get in touch with to discuss more about that. I think that they would be really interested in helping you with that as well. So when you're using your Jamboard, I'm going to go ahead and just have you open this up and raise your hand if you want to get in small groups and try and go through this. All right, we have a few people raising their hand. That's great. So I'll go ahead. I'm going to open up the breakout rooms again. Before we do that, this is what we're going to do. So when you click on the link in the agenda document, it'll prompt you to make a copy. So go ahead and make a copy. And then once you get into your small groups, don't make a copy yet, but once you get into your small groups, one person make a copy and then share the document with everyone in your group, so that you're all working off of one Jamboard. And then so once you're there, go ahead and read the directions together and establish team roles, and then you'll go ahead and move through them. It does take a little bit of time.
Welcome to VoiceOver. VoiceOver speaks descriptions of items on.
So we'll go ahead and I'll go ahead and set these breakout rooms up. And yes, I can share the link again. Let's see here. So here's the Google Docs link. And this is at the cafeteria, like food waste reduction strategies for the cafeteria Jamboard. So for small group work, that's where you can click on it. And I'll open up the breakout rooms. For those of you who would prefer to stay in the, you can just stay with me and we can keep talking if you would prefer to do that. I want to make sure that this workshop is as productive for you as possible. So we already have the rooms. They're the same rooms as before. Excuse me. So go ahead and hop into your breakout rooms. If you'd like to stay, just don't join the breakout room and we can continue a discussion and we can go through the Jamboard and kind of share ideas together. Lisa, yes, you have a comment? Or is that from leftover from before?
It didn't come up for me to go to a breakout room.
Did you get prompted?
No.
Let me try again. Oh, a bunch of people didn't. I see. So can you choose a breakout room? Excuse me, it's because I'll go ahead and put you in breakout room 1.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So people that have signed out and signed back in again are having a hard time getting into breakout rooms. So I'm just kind of assigning you now. Based on who needs some things filled. So. Okay.
Am I the only one left? I don't know.
No, so we have about 40 people still in this room.
Okay.
I'm assuming these are the folks that still wanted to hang out.
do that.
Yeah, I'm assuming that's who's here. It's people who just want to hang out and talk a little bit more independently of these other things.
I agree with everything that was discussed, and I feel very frustrated actually because I feel that the decision makers and the system in itself is very hard to change as a teacher. I did start a petition 4 or 5 years ago only about the plastic packaging in my school. And I was pulled out by my principal telling me I had to withdraw the petition because it was making the school look bad and a teacher could not initiate that. So I've dealt with that, and I've sent several emails about the waste, the plastic, the quality of food, asking for the curriculum to be changed, for the nutrition to be changed. I've hit a wall. So I'm just sharing with you, these workshops are amazing and it's always teacher led, but how do we get the system to change? That's
Great
just how I feel.
Yeah, that's a great question. Does anybody have a response of their own experience here? Brandon? Yeah, happy.
When we've had that, our principal is a little bit more open-minded, but when we've had issues where the principal is not on, not on the same page as the teachers, we often go to our school board, and that solves the problem. So I don't know if you have direct accessibility to the school board where you can communicate and let them know, but often when the complaints go there or towards the PTA, it kind of solves the problem normally for us.
Mm-hmm.
We did a speech with students at the school board. It did not change the plastic issue. I think with COVID, we went even backward because of that. And when we speak in front of the school board, our principal in the past has asked that we notify her. I was actually pulled out of my classroom and had to meet with the district's our school district representative, and he tried to convince me not to speak at the school board. So there was a lot of pressure, and whatever speech I gave did not change what is happening. So
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Where is your school located?
Miami-Dade.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear
Where
that.
are you?
San Francisco.
Okay, yeah, we are a plastic state for sure. And all the food is pre-made, preheated. We noticed that, especially when I started the composting at my school, there's almost no compost because we don't use vegetables and fruit. And most of the things that is wasted is actually dairy or meat, but there's no organic waste. And because they don't prepare the meals, there are no veggie scraps or anything. It's terrible nutrition district-wide.
Wow. Mark?
My experience has been that it really goes above, and I know we talked about this with legislature and things like that, Title I schools, but it really goes above the district even. So I've been in meetings with people in our food services. They want to provide healthy food, but the budget is such that it is less expensive to bring in all this prepackaged stuff. They don't have to hire another person to work in the kitchen to prepare it. So, and talk about waste. So you've got all these trucks coming in from different parts of the country, bringing in this processed food that then just gets heated up instead of like really cooking things. And I'm in a district, it's an older district, and we have a huge food services complex with lots of ovens, lots of things where things used to get cooked and then, distributed to the schools. We have cafeterias with industrial dishwashing machines, but they have to hire somebody to wash the dishes or to be that person, or they have to pay somebody to be there longer. So they would rather just bring in, they must have found it cheaper to bring in lots of little styrofoam trays. Now in my district and in the schools that I work in, we have lots of grassroots initiatives where we do compostings and we have gardens and we have chickens and we do tastings in the classroom. But none of we run into issues where trying to serve any of that in our cafeterias due to health regulations, and also because we can't grow enough food to feed some of our schools. But my initial point was, when I raised my hand, is that I really do feel like it's above the district. They get this amount of money and they have to feed everybody, and they have to do it along the guidelines of Title I. So it's really, I don't know. I think maybe getting the school boards to then go to whoever that next level is, or whoever, like people are talking about, their alderman or their legislature, is really the only way we're going to make this change.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. It is a lot of systemic issues. And I was looking at the post-workshop survey just now, and I went ahead and made a new question kind of based on what you said and what Lisa said. And so the last question on the survey is, do you want to keep in contact with other participants from the workshop? Yes or no? So for those of you who answer yes to this question, I will follow up with an email so that we can stay in contact and maybe brainstorm and put together how we can make more systemic changes. I don't know what that looks like. That's not something that I've done before, but I think especially with the working with World Wildlife Fund, I know they have a lot of experience with policy, and I think they would be interested in working with you on something like this. So I'm just putting that out there. Do we have any other comments or suggestions?
I suggested in my group, we've been working with Slow Food, which I highly recommend, the nonprofits. I was sharing with the small group that they install the raised beds for free. They help you with the planting, and the students are, and also some staff members have been involved in growing food. It's obviously not enough to provide the cafeteria with food, but it brings back that sense of ownership and nutrition that we have lost. And as a teacher, I have to say, I was a little worried about the investment of my time, but actually Slow Food is making it very easy, and it's all for free. You can look them up, slowfood.org. This is a donation of 1 or 2 raised beds, and they support you and your students for 2 years. I highly recommend that, to at least bring back fresh veggies and fruit. We've been growing strawberries, tomatoes, salads, herbs, and at least the students that are participating are getting that on their way to the cafeteria. They're getting their fresh nutrients and enjoying it. So it's obviously not a systemic change, but it's bringing back a little bit of that homegrown food. Slowfood.org.
I'll type it for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull up this Jamboard that I made, just so we can kind of go over it so that you have the same information that everybody else does from this workshop. So what we're having people do, and this is part of the resources that you have. So if you'd like to take this back and complete it with some of your students, etc., please feel free to do that. Let's see. So yeah, so we have our team roles, etc. And basically we're looking at this food recovery hierarchy. This is something that we've talked about a lot. Just this idea of source reduction, and especially the systemic kind of things that are going on there, and how to reduce the volume of surplus food generated. And like what Lisa had said about the Title I laws around students having to take food could be one of those, reducing the volume of surplus food generated. And so here are some of the sources of cafeteria food waste that we're brainstorming about in the preparation stage, in the presentation and serving, consumption by students, and disposal areas. It sounds like there are a lot of different schools represented here. One of the most challenging aspects of food waste, I think, is for schools that have all of the processed foods brought in that are not prepared on site, because you don't know what all goes into that kind of thing. And this is one of my favorite slides, stakeholders in the cafeteria. How do you engage people? Like, there are all these different ideas of what stakeholders could or should be involved. I will say sustainability and working with stakeholders always takes longer than you think it will. Working collaboratively is just going to take a long time. It just is. And that, for me, I think that's worth it, because I would much rather have, because it has a lot of staying power when you're working with people. A lot of my area of interest and area of expertise is on stakeholder engagement and relationship building. So if you're curious about that and want to talk to me a little bit more about it, please let me know. I would love to talk to you about it. I'm a big believer in community organizing principles and practices. There's a great book called Community Organizing for Stronger Schools that takes on these principles for better schools. And I think that something like that could be really beneficial for the cafeteria. And a lot of that is around building relationships first before enacting a project. And then here's something on school institutions. So how might each institution be engaged to address food waste? I think sports teams or student clubs could be really important because a lot of them are trendsetters for schools, whether we, like that or not. Parent organizations, student government, and facilities. Does anyone have experience working with some of these school institutions to develop a meaningful project for sustainability or for food waste?
The PTSA for sure has been very engaged for me, and I have a green club. So two
Cool.
of them.
Nice. That's great.
At all of our PTSA events, parents are encouraged to send students with reusable water bottles, and the PTSA sets up like the big water jugs so they can refill.
That's great. Yeah, I have some stuff in the chat too. I love how active this chat is. It's great. Oh, Abigail, you got, sorry, let me find you. Hold on just a moment. I'm gonna take care of Abigail real quick.
In my school, we also have the refillable water bottle stations in the cafeteria and in the PE area. So that has been great because the kids bring their refillable bottles, reusable bottles.
We do the same. We've got the same program.
That's great.
One of the things that came out of COVID was that we have no more drinking fountains. We only have
True.
Water bottle stations.
True, because our water fountains were shut down. And it was highly encouraged that the students bring their own bottles.
Abigail, do you remember which room you were in by any chance?
I think it was room 2.
All right, I got you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I'm glad that you enjoy your breakout room.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, AML iPhone. I can't remember your name. I'm sorry.
Lisa, it's okay.
Lisa.
Hearing everybody talk about the water bottles, I just thought of something that I'm so dumb. Like, why haven't I thought of this before? But as kids leave school, we should set up water dumping tanks so you can go water the garden. Like, I've never made that connection, and I live in the desert. So like, that's actually a really great way because, I'm a mother, I clean out water bottles every day, and I just dump the water down the sink as I go to clean the water bottle. I just had an epiphany.
It's funny. I've never thought about that either, but it's a great idea because for me, I think that it would be a great way to introduce students to that idea of, oh yeah, it's not just going anywhere, it's going here. It's that the closing the loop there. It's a great idea. Love it. Let's see. And then, so am I still sharing my screen? Yes, I am. Okay. And then also we had them talking about some curricular tie-ins, like how does food waste demonstrate curricular content? Does anyone here have experience with tying in food waste or some of the, especially these, some of these systemic issues? Go ahead and talk about this amongst yourselves. I've been requested in a breakout room. Hi. How's it going in here?
It's not.
Okay. Okay. You got it, Patricia?
It's in ecology.
We've weighed the food waste. We've done, different things with math around it. We have compost, so we do the science that goes on along with composting. And then, we use the compost in our garden. So, there's always measuring whether the compost has reached the proper temperature so we can use it so it's safe. And we talk about pathogens and things like that.
Yeah, I feel like it was like it was almost discovering like a different planet when I started to learn about the abundant life that exists in a pile of compost and like all of the organisms that are involved in the process of turning that stuff back into raw usable material.
Yeah, we do vermicomposting at our school too, worms. And so we take a lot of the food waste and we put it through food processors to get it down to like, you know, worm-sized bites. And then we use that compost tea for our gardens. So that's another way that we divert waste out of the garbage and, you know, into worm bins that are in classrooms. I mean, it's not a lot, but I mean, it shows where, you know, instead of this was on the sharing table, now it's going to go in the garbage at the end. It's actually going to come back into
where are you and what type of school are you in?
I'm in Tucson, Arizona, and
Okay.
I'm an exceptional education teacher in an employability program for students 18 to 22. And as a part of that, we support 3 elementary schools in their gardening and ecology programs.
Okay.
So I actually do come with labor. So we were talking about that as like, you know, a teacher or a cafeteria worker or a janitor or a garden coordinator at that school doesn't have to like take time out of their day to be in the lunchroom all day to monitor this. So I might have 2 or 3 students that can help with that. So
where are you composting? Sorry, the composting at my school did not work out, as I was saying earlier, because we use only processed food. So it was way less organic waste to be composted. And then I was not able to check the contamination. So we had contamination every day with a lot of dairy and meat. So it was a fail.
Yeah, we keep dairy and meat out of our composting, but see that again, that's the labor of sorting compost and really making sure that that doesn't happen. Now, some people will tell you, I mean, garden coordinators here, and I'm in Tucson, Arizona, they'll throw everything in the compost. They'll feel like bread can get composted, not dairy and meat, but just a lot of things that I wouldn't put in compost because it doesn't break down very fast, and I want it, you know, to be able to have it break down and use it for the science of breaking things down. But it also takes a lot of water here in the desert to compost. So I know a lot of people in other parts of the country don't have that problem where they can kind of just throw things in a bin and let it break down. But again, yeah, it's labor intensive to get out there and water and turn the compost every week and relayer it.
Mark,
but we have been successful.
I'm in Tucson too.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm wondering, what elementary schools do you work with?
I work at Drachman, I work at Ochoa, and I work at Borton.
Okay. Are you only allowed to work with public schools? Are you with TUSD?
Yeah, I'm with TUSD. Yeah, so we only go to public schools.
Okay.
But are you at a private school?
I am. And I'm just thinking, hearing from, just to have speakers come and talk about those things would be such an opportunity.
You should look into the, what's it called? Community and School Gardens program that's at the U of A. And they have a professional development called Green Academy.
Okay, I actually think our junior high, middle school teacher is already working with them.
Okay, well that'll just, sorry, this is really Tucson specific, everybody.
I know, sorry, but it's exciting.
But yeah, so our university has a class through their geography program where they have interns come out and help in school gardens and also with any kind of ecology project. And and I'm on the leadership team of the Green Academy. So that's our professional development. And it's open to people who are in charter schools and private schools. So
awesome. Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, and I think, I know that's a Tucson specific and it's an excellent program. I'll also say, I feel like Mark could run his own workshop on all of this stuff.
Thanks.
It's so true. I mean, I think a lot of you probably could as well. But you bring up a good point of working with universities or anyone that like universities, colleges, a lot of times people are looking for more work with K through 12 schools from the sustainability or an environmental standpoint. So I mean, obviously I'm biased because I'm from ASU, but I think that university partners can be really helpful in creating and having kind of carrying some of the weight of some of these projects. I know University of Arkansas was really important in developing that reducing food waste for K through 12 schools guide, the audit. Dr. Michelle Terry was really important in that. So we just have a few more things here. Thank you guys so much for coming today and sticking it out with me. It's been a little bit chaotic. This is the largest workshop I've ever done and all virtual. So thank you all so much. I'm gonna go ahead and paste the, so I just got a question. Who would be a good person to contact at colleges to see if you can set up a partnership? You can do, if you look at like the list of faculty. So if you go to the different faculty pages, anyone who's working on food, sustainability, waste, anybody in the food, water, energy nexus, a lot of times some people will have their own like outreach or engagement coordinator. Those are great people to look into, specifically the outreach and engagement coordinator. But if you want to have more of like a research focus, definitely working with faculty can be really important. So yeah, those are some good things. If you're interested, you can also contact me and let me know where you are, and we can set up like a brief 15-minute kind of meeting to just look for resources in your area and help you out locally. I would love to do that with you. The coordinator title is usually like engagement or outreach. So engagement, outreach, either manager, coordinator, assistant director, director, something like that. But engagement and outreach is really big. And that'll usually be by either school or college. So the College of Global Futures has an assistant director of recruitment and outreach. I know that there's also specific research projects that have engagement coordinators or engagement managers. So I'm gonna go ahead and paste the agenda one more time. Please be sure and sign in. So before you leave, make sure you sign in and sign out so that you can qualify. I'm going to share my screen and talk a little bit more about the stipends because I know you're all interested. And then I have a post-workshop survey, and then you're free to enjoy your Saturday. So in the chat, go ahead and share 1 or 2 observations from our workshop. What did you learn? What is still missing? Or what will you do to reduce food waste now? So pick 1 or 2 of these to share in the chat. Great, I love that people love the workshop. This is excellent. Looking back through the chat. If you were unable to finish your Jamboard, make sure that you have a copy of it from your small group. And also, if you look at the workshop agenda, you can make your own copy of that Jamboard to use however you'd like. Also, if you had a good time in your workout, if you're in your breakout room, you can contact them directly through, I think you can use the direct message on here. Let's see. Yes, yeah, we do have a nationwide issue with food. I think, and what's kind of nice, I mean, maybe not nice, but it's neat to have people represented from all over the United States to hear about the similarities that we face with food waste issues in schools. This is great. Thank y'all so much.
I am unable to sign out on the paper. I don't know how to do it.
On the Google Doc or the form?
For some reason it's not opening from the link you sent. I was able to sign in, but I don't know how to sign out.
I'll take care of you. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Do you
got
see
you.
who I am?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
hold on.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Anouk, right?
Yes. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah. Is that how you say your name?
Yes, it is.
Okay, good. Okay, good.
And Molly, I don't know because I came in late because I couldn't get in
Sure.
through my email. So I don't know how, did I miss something on signing in, a paper or something, or?
Yeah, I'll paste it again at the end of this so that we can make sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just reading through some of these ideas here. I love what y'all are saying. Policies need to change. Absolutely. It's a nationwide issue, but there are different solutions in different places. Jillian, absolutely. Like we're all facing different parts of these issues, and localized solutions are gonna vary depending on where you are. Great, doing a waste audit, fantastic. It's important. Creating student awareness, genius. Multiple ways to reduce food waste. This is wonderful. I'm going to print this out and put it on my refrigerator. Great.
Molly, there's a question. Do they need to sign out the time?
Yes, yes. Sign out the time. And we can get that. I have like a couple of other things. This is the most important part. If you are interested in a stipend, this is also on the document, but I wanted to just go over it really quickly. In order to receive a stipend, you must participate in today's workshop. Congratulations, thank you. And make sure you're on the sign up sheet, because if you come to me later, I need to make sure that everything aligns. So participate today, lead an activity or a small project during Food Waste Prevention Week, which is next week, starting on Monday. There is a link to that in the original email that I sent. You can also just Google Food Waste Prevention Week, and I think that'll show up. It was originally a Florida initiative, so it might come up with like Food Waste Prevention Week FL, but that's because that's where it started. So post about it on social media with the hashtag FWPW and tag us, ASU_Green and World Wildlife Federation. It can be on any social media, whatever. And then finally, email me a brief report containing what you did, a screenshot of your social media thing, how many students and colleagues that you engaged, and finally, a personal reflection on your experience. So the important thing to note here is that it's 1 week, you know, like you're not going to change the world in a week. That's why that personal reflection is so important, because chances are pretty good you're not going to see a whole lot of improvement in 1 week. And if what you designed is a catastrophic fail, like it's actually an opportunity for learning. So I'd love to see and read about some of the things that you experienced. I think that stuff is so cool. And I love getting to know each of you. So this is what you have to do. Excuse me. In order to receive the stipend. So thanks for joining us. This has been wonderful to talk with you. And that's all I have for today.
Molly, there's a question about if they don't have social media, then what do we do?
If you don't have social media, then it's a good question. Let me think about it.
Students use it. You can have students post for you.
Yeah, or your school. A lot of times your school will have it. So have your have your school post it. There you go. Yeah.
Molly.
Perfect.
Hello, Molly.
Yes, Latasha.
Are these instructions in that email as to outline what needs to be in order for us to get the stipend?
No, they are not, but they are in the, so two things. One, they are in the agenda. I'm going to post it again. Here's the agenda. And also I'm going to send an email on Monday just saying, thanks again. It's Food Waste Prevention Week is starting. And here's what you have to do in order to get the stipend.
Okay. Molly, Molly, I need a copy of my Jamboard. I think the person who's in charge, who was our record.
Oh, Rhonda, who is in charge? I'm on the edge of my seat.
I think I am in charge. Rhonda, I would email it to you since you have your email ad.
Of this Jamboard.
Yeah, so should I put my,
Your email ad is on the list of the teachers, so I can email that to you. Don't worry.
Okay, great.
Could you do that to me also, please, for Shweta Chopra? Thank you.
I'm trying right now.
Okay. And is it Mariana? I'm sorry, what was his name?
Yeah, that's correct. My name is Mariano. So you want to send it to your email too?
Yes, so you have, it's on the board, but I can put it in the chat however you want me to do it, so. Yes, so thank you so much.
Send your email, by the way, before I don't know what is your email then.
I'm gonna put it in the chat right now.
And don't forget to fill out the post-workshop survey.
Here's the post-workshop survey.
It is in the agenda, and I'm going to link it
okay.
as well in the chat. So there we go. Oh, whoops, I sent that to somebody individually. Sorry.
I will, please.
There we go.
Molly, is it a problem if we remained in the large group during the small breakout sessions if we didn't add onto the Jamboard?
No, not at all. Phil, you can fill out your own Jamboard. I think that will help you in determining your project. But the thing you need for the stipend is make sure you signed in. I'd love for you to fill out the survey, but that's not required for the stipend. Yeah, do an activity or a project, write about it, reflect about it, post on social media.
Great.
Molly, I'm just gonna ask for clarification on that too, because I don't think I can actually get the activity I'd like to get done this week. So I'm gonna gather the kids this week to start planning, but I'd like to do something where we go into elementary schools and do food waste teaching for them. So it's gonna take us a couple of weeks, of course, to do that and get permission and all of that. So as far as posting on social media, does that have to be what we do with our group?
Group from like your breakout room?
No, sorry, like the group I'm gonna do, like what I'm gonna do with my students should go on social media?
Either just, it doesn't matter.
Okay, only because I'm like, I'd actually love to just post and tell people about food prevention, like food waste prevention, but it wouldn't necessarily do what I'm doing with my students. So I just wanted to make sure those two didn't have to be linked.
They don't have to be linked.
Perfect.
It'd be great if they are, but that's not a requirement.
Okay.
You could always say what you're planning. You could
That's
say
true.
what you're planning, like after, like this week is food waste prevention. Our school is planning on doing this.
Yeah,
in the
that's a
next
great
month.
idea. Perfect.
Thanks, Samantha. Great point.
Thank you.
Samantha's going to be my co-presenter next time with Mark. All right. Well, that's all I have. Thank you so much. And if you need anything, please let me know. Just shoot me an email. Happy to talk.
Thanks, Molly. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Molly, and everybody.
Thank you, Molly.
Thank you so much, Molly. And it was a joy talking with you again.
Oh, Lisa, so good to see you. Keep in
Yes.
touch.
Okay, I sure will. I might have to reach out to you because I might be coming to Arizona. I have family who moved there. So if I pop in this summer, I'll reach out.
I'll take you to see all the sites.
Okay, great.
Okay,
Thank
see
you.
you.
Okay.
Address to future workshops.
Molly, are you involved in March Mammal Madness at all at
No.
Arizona State? Well, I think that's out of ASU.
I haven't heard of it.
March Mammal Madness. It's just about to wrap up.
That's
It
cool.
is Katie Hines, I think her name is, who's at Arizona State.
Molly, I have a question.
Yes.
So next week we have our district testing week. So if we are not able to finish the project, can I send you the plan?
Yes. Yes.
In my reflection?
Send it to me when you're finished. I don't have any, just submit it before, let's by the end of May.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Good question. Good question. Yeah. I'd rather see something that's been completed than a plan.
Okay.
Thank you, Molly. In fact, it will be so much better for us to use it after the testing is done.
Yeah.
Because this whole window is open for our testing. So that'll be great. That's great that we'll have until end of May to do it.
Yeah, that's no problem. Because this was originally by Florida, where they didn't consider all the other school schedules, which makes sense. But there are a few schools that are actually on spring break next week.
Miss Payton, you want to do something as a group together?
I'm in.
I was going to call you too, Renica. So
all the Roosevelt people can do something together.
Right. I'll get in touch with you.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Molly, I was gonna ask you that
Okay.
if there's more than one person from your school that was participating in this, how would that work? Is that okay, or just one person has to lead this?
How many people are in your school that are participating?
I saw 3.
I think individually would be fine. I'm just gonna say yes on individually so far. I think that'd be fine.
No, like, but would it be better if, like, I see several people from Roosevelt? So can we
That would
do
be way better.
together?
Yeah, I would love it if y'all would do something together.
So, but that's what I was asking. Then we just submit like one report for all of us, or everybody
Yeah.
has to do it individually?
No, you can submit one report for all of you, include all your names, and make sure that you each have an individual reflection, because I do want a reflection from each person.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
thank
but and we're at different schools also, so we're gonna get together, Roosevelt. So, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Molly, you were wonderful. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That means a lot. I see your hand, Crystal. Also, Samantha, I don't know if I can do a social media group. There are some like issues with ASU on me being able to do stuff like that. She's gone, isn't she? She's gone now. Never mind. Crystal?
Hey, Molly.
Yeah, I
Molly.
wanted to know, is it a due date for when we have to have this done?
Just submit it like, so I would love for you to do it during Food Waste Prevention Week, but send your report in by end of May.
Okay, so end of May. And then what did you say, if you don't have social media, what should we do?
Talk with your school or district and have them help you with social media, because a lot of schools have social media. So just talk with them about it.
Okay, will it be okay if we allow our students to just post it if we don't want to, if the school, can we have our students post it?
Yes, yes, to get a screenshot to submit with your report.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Good questions. iPhone, I think you were starting to say something. I don't know who iPhone is.
Hey, Molly, this is
Yes.
Mike Cruz. I work with Sam Taggart. You were saying something about the social media like group.
Yeah, she had said something in the chat about it, and I like ASU can't, I don't think I can create a social media group, and so I was going to see if y'all could, and then I can share out with everybody else.
Okay, I can pass it along to her. We'll see what we can do.
Yeah, and just hit me up, like shoot me an email, and we can set up a meeting if we want to talk about creating something a little bit bigger than this. Just to kind of do something bigger. Yeah, maybe create our own sustainability learning lab around food waste.
Yeah, no, that'd be awesome.
Sweet.
One other quick question for you. I'm not able to sign in on the Google Doc. Can I just email you, or what should I do for that?
Yeah, just email me with your name and then time in, time out.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks so much. This has been great.
Awesome. Glad to hear it. Thank you.
Take
Hey,
care.
Miss Molly.
Yes.
This is Mrs. Balikan. Will it be okay if we post the pictures of the students we're going to cover their faces?
Yeah, that's fine. You can also post like the backs of their heads if you want to get like from behind them.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. For those people that I just admitted, the workshop is basically over. So this is just a time for you to ask questions and let me know any concerns or anything like that. All right. Well, in that case, I'm going to stop recording.